I suppose you are wondering why I invited you here tonight. It's about Auntie Judith. You all knew it would be. She was troublesome but delightful when she was alive. Now she's just troublesome. The issue is the box. It's what's in the box. Now, when this was first entrusted to us, we thought it would be a straightforward matter to discover what was in the box. Proven not to be the case. It's now so well known within the locality that no amount of money can convince somebody to try and open the box. The good news is that the 7 people who've tried so far, we don't have to pay them for quite a various reasons, but they are not interested, nor are they necessarily available for the wages that we initially offered them. Welcome, everybody. Just lovely to see you all here. There are a few chairs if people feel they don't want to stand any longer. So actually the number of people at this stage and the chairs is lining up pretty well. That's a surprise. I don't know if the word is spread, but all the alcohol that was promised you does not exist. And so if some of you want to rage walk now, that's fine. ACMI lost its liquor license 48 hours ago. And I found out that ACMI had lost its liquor license 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago. The first venue that we organised for ACMI shut down 10 days before the event. The second venue, which some of you may have been at Fortress, please come in, find a chair, make yourself comfortable. They kicked us out of the venue that we'd reserved, the room that we had reserved, and we moved into the bar space, which was both good and bad. And now the liquor license. So whilst I'm not necessarily thinking this event is cursed, it's rather the venues that we book are cursed. So if I was a venue and I saw me coming.
You know any good adventurers?
to make arrangements, and I mentioned this event, if I was them, I'd just deny access altogether. So the alcohol situation will change the lineup a little bit, but I'll get to that. I wanted to quickly thank ACMI for offering us this venue. It's amazing that we've got this space. There's only a couple of overheads that they're charging us for. Otherwise, they've made this space available to us, which is just unbelievable. And also for Creative Vic for making this event a part of Games Week. So giving it a really good prominence. They were promoting it today, actually, which was incredible. It was on their webpage. Making it part of Games Week is all really exciting. I also want to mention about filming. So we have one where Dante's filming and recording at the moment. There was another film crew that said they might be here. There's a couple of filmmakers who want to do a mini doco about our event at PAX Oz, and they asked if they could be here to take some footage here as well, but it doesn't seem that they are here. And there was also potentially going to be a photographer, and I don't see them either. So, but just, which is all fine, but if anyone doesn't want to be either filmed or photographed or whatever, and you notice that you may have been caught in a crowd shot, then please just let the person know, and they'll organise it. Now, I want to acknowledge that we are meeting on the lands of the Coleman Nation and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. And just vote yes. Just vote yes. Vote yes as often as you can. Just do it. I'd also, on top of thanking ACMI for the venue and Creative Vic, I also want to thank Jane Routley, Melody Watson and MT Black, who MT and Jane are here tonight, but are the fabulous judges. And because there was such a tremendous amount of material that came in, and it was also extremely good, it was a huge amount of work to process and judge the pieces. And I'm enormously grateful for the time and effort that they put into that. What we are continuing to see, and I think we've seen it really over a 5-year period now, but an enormous growth of people engaging in our hobby and engaging it in all sorts of different ways. But a lot of that is a creative engagement. And so it is fantastic to see the number of people prepared to offer their work to ARPIA, which is what makes ARPIA credible and gives it status. But also that the people that are coming in and making the new significantly enlarged community of tabletop role players are also developing the confidence to produce and then show their work, to be confident and proud enough to say, hey, I want this judged against what everyone else is doing. And that is a really exciting thing. And on top of that, we're seeing that around an enormous growth in the number of people who want to play our hobby or watch other people play our hobby, or engage with tabletop role-playing in all sorts of different ways. And I think this offers our hobby an extraordinary opportunity. I sort of feel we're in this purple patch of enormous growth, which is going to introduce all sorts of innovations and developments and all sorts of exciting opportunities. But also as people who are in the industry, which you either are all in the industry or you're the board number one, of the plus one, I should say. You're the board plus one of someone who is in the industry. It's creating opportunities to present your work to a larger audience, and I do not see this slowing down. I think at least for 3, I think for another 5 years, we're going to see a very significant growth. And of course that brings with it corporate activity as well, and that has good things and bad things attached to it as well. But it brings our hobby to a whole new audience and makes it the exciting thing. So I think where board games were the thing maybe 5 years ago, and 7, 8 years ago, it was the exploding thing, and it was very much the exciting thing to be in. I would suggest now that is tabletop role-playing. It is the exciting thing. It is the thing that the kids coming out of school are engaging and playing with each other, and it's the thing that they want to connect with and become involved with. And so whilst, of course, that draws them to the big name games, but they'll always be looking for the other game to add to their big name game. It's fantastic to see so much created and available to them that they can learn about what's being produced in Australia. The other thing I wanted to talk about was ARPIA as an event, and to say that I feel that now we've run a few times, some of the situations like the pandemic and whatever started to settle down, but also there's a size to it and a momentum to it that I think now it is an established event, and I think it will be continuing. So I want to have a discussion with people about how that looks. How do we run ARPIA in the future? I feel the questions are, how often do we run it? Where do we run it? I'm very keen to stay a part of Games Week, but do we do that? now that we've grown into the number of submissions have grown so much, are we in a position where we can announce shortlists? How we time work coming in, how we time the shortlist announcement. So if people, particularly in other states, want to come down here, do they get enough notice to come and participate in the event? Do we open the event up just to people who are engaged with the industry in some way? And so that's what we have tonight. Or do we say, no, we want a really large event. We want to open it up to everyone who's interested. And of course, they're two very different events and have two very different focus. And they would also involve very different expenses, so that various choices we make change what the cost is to attend, and what it costs to attend is also a point of access for people as well. So I'd love to hear people's ideas through the evening. I think it's been mentioned a fair bit, but with the food and drink, so you know the grog's off. The meat foods are the first table. Second table is mostly vegetarian, but be careful, there's sushi has got some seafood in it. It should be obvious. And then the far table is vegan. And then I'll just go through how we're going to be proceeding with the evening. So in a second, I'll be introducing the keynote speaker, Tim Westhaven. We're then going to break for 10 minutes, give people a chance to grab another drink and some finger food. At which point, MT Black will be conducting the award presentations. That should take us through to about 8 o'clock. Our thinking is we'll be here then between 8 and 9, just the soft drink and the finger food. And then at 9 o'clock, providing there's space, and Beer Deluxe thinks there'll be tons of space, we'll go down at 9 o'clock to Beer Deluxe, and then people can buy themselves something if they like. The last thing I wanted to say is to use this opportunity as an opportunity to meet people, because everyone here is industry focused, as I said, except for the board plus ones. And so they'll be happy to say hello anyway, and then you can make your way off quickly. But everyone here is here to celebrate our hobby, but also to meet other people in the industry who are producing, creating, they're doing something within the industry. And I really want this event to be an opportunity to engage and meet each other and share what you're doing. And hope that things come out of that, whether there be partnerships, shared knowledge, business opportunities, whatever it is. The more you get yourself out and talk to people you don't know, the more these opportunities are likely to offer themselves. So I think then I'll move on to Tim. Tim Westhaven is a narrative artist, game designer, and lecturer in game design studies. And please, welcome. I'll also add, actually, Tim's students are running tables in the playtest zone at PAX Oz over the 3 days. And so they'll be showing off the tabletop games that they've got in design, which is incredibly exciting. And you maybe were going to say that and I've just ruined it for you, but no. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, John. And thanks, ARC, for having me. And it's lovely to see all of you here. It really is. Well, I was going to get paid in alcohol, so, I'm not really. I'll keep it short then, shall I? Hi, my name's Tim Westhaven, and I'm a role player.
This is where the alcohol was going to be a good problem.
It was, yeah. Just for some background, I played my first game of Dungeons and Dragons when I was 6 years old. I know. Mate, I'm a grog nerd. I'm not a nerd. I went to my first convention when I was 8. I sat down at a table with a bunch of probably, 15, 16-year-olds who gave me just the darkest looks. This 8-year-old sitting down, they're like, what is he doing here? At which point my rogue eventually saved them from a trap, and at the end actually saved them from a TPK. After which point they thought it was okay to have a 8-year-old sitting at the table. John asked me here to talk to you a bit about technology and a bit about education. Trying to decide exactly how to present those two things to you, given, I guess, both my role as a lecturer in game design and also my interest in the hobby from a very young age, and I am very old school when it comes to role-playing. It was hard. So I sort of had to break it into two parts. So the first part is the education part. When I was 6, between 6 and 8, I am of the age that I lived through the Satanic Panic. Yeah, there are a couple of nods. Yeah. Some of you don't look that old. However, I actually got taken to the priest. My mum actually took me to the priest. It was pretty serious. However, nothing was proven, and I got to keep playing. And by the time I was, 12, I was making my own systems. I was running games at school. I was still going to conventions. But there was nowhere for me to actually take my games. I had no idea what I was meant to do with them apart from play with my friends. There was no such thing as game design, whether digital or analog at that stage. There was nothing. I mean, I was happy enough building my games, I was happy enough playing my games, but that was pretty much a dead end. And as I got older, it was still a dead end. There was nowhere to go, no one to talk to. I mean, at that time and point, if you were a role player, you were pretty much sort of, you would seclude yourself away with the other role players. It wasn't something you spoke about. It wasn't something you advertised. And so essentially we just created in private. We created in a vacuum because there wasn't anything else. We didn't have, ARC. We didn't have the internet. Yeah, I know, it just blows your mind. And over the years, as things progressed, I had to find other things to do. I had to earn a living because making games, even though that was my passion, even though it was what thrilled me, there was nothing I could do with it. If I had had the course that I now teach when I was 16, I believe truly I would have had a much different life. I would probably be much poorer, but I'd probably be much happier as well. And I think looking back over the years, there have been moments where people have tried to actually educate the community, actually bring together the knowledge in a way that means what I look upon as an art form could have developed in the other ways that other art forms have developed. But that still hasn't happened in a broad sense. But it's getting better. When I was at school, as I said, I had my few groups of friends that I would play games with. They sometimes had older siblings that, we would also get to play games with. But it was a very close community. These days, I can go and teach a class, not of my game design students, of other students, of teaching, AVFX or something. And I stand there just with two types of emotion when I see 20 students discussing how they're going to leave class and go and play Dungeons and Dragons. One, I am thrilled, just thrilled. Two, I am so angry. I am just like, beyond words. But it is good. I mean, it's amazing. The fact that I can stand in a room of 20 teenagers and they are all going to play Dungeons and Dragons. no fear, no, recriminations, no thoughts of how it's going to affect their social life or, any of this stuff. That's amazing. And it speaks to what John was talking about, that the hobby is at a point where it is about to explode. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're all going to get rich, but it speaks well of not only the work that you're all doing, but it speaks well of the fact that we are fortunate to be here and now, in this moment. So courses like mine, I hope, will become more prevalent. We'll move away from digital game design and actually start paying attention to game design in general. All right? I get very upset when someone says they're studying game design, and I say, oh yeah, what are you doing? And they're making an app or a mobile game. Right? That's game development, not game design, in my opinion. So education-wise, I think we all play a part in that. We all have to promote the idea that the knowledge that we have needs to be shared. There's no other art form that I can think of that has literally just lived in silence because the artisans who have developed it haven't communicated with each other, haven't been in a place where they can actually share that knowledge to the new people coming into it. All the other art forms, cinema, writing, music, have been academic studies for hundreds of years. Why hasn't ours? Because I truly believe it is an art form. That's how I feel about it. And so it wounds me that our knowledge, our experience just gets siloed between ourselves. Not even, it's no longer a matter of society making sure we have to go and hide in dark rooms. It's the fact that we've grown up with that, or at least, those of us who were nodding earlier have grown up with that. And we have to move past that. And those of you who are much younger, thank God, hopefully you can actually lead that charge. But it takes effort. It takes a matter of personal growth to share that knowledge and not be afraid to share that knowledge, if that makes sense. So talking about the technology and how that blends into it, that is a completely different story. So let me get started with this. We are all living through an inflection point in human history. If you look at media determinism, and I was going to go on about it, but I won't, because you're not here for that. But the idea of media determinism is that each new media goes through a cycle. It feeds off what came before. It grows, if it survives. It expands. It gets infiltrated. It gets mutated, and it goes on again. And our art form is at a place now where it is growing, where it is expanding probably exponentially, given, I can have a room full of teenagers saying they're going to play Dungeons and Dragons now. But at the same time, we have this other inflection point. We have technology coming on, and I'm not just talking about artificial intelligence. We'll get to that. But there are other technologies that are coming available now that are going to change how we play our games. And so it's important that, in my point of view, I think it's important that you start thinking about that. Because while I am old school, I don't like people sitting there with their tablets, like going through their character sheets. It just annoys me a bit. I don't know. It's a bit creepy. But I understand that that's what they do. That's what they want to do. It's easy for them. All right? They've grown up with it. They're not like me. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have mobile phones. So I understand that they're comfortable with that. That's how they get their information, all right? But what you're about to see is not just dealing with devices at the table. You're about to see home interactive laser systems that can give you persistent vision. And what I mean by that is they can actually change what you see in your room to look like anything else. It's not virtual reality, but it's close. It's basically just lasers, images overlaid on the room. But you can go up and touch objects. You can talk to the artificial intelligence running the system and ask it to do something, modify the room. And not only that, your interactive tabletops very soon are going to be set with an artificial intelligence that will allow all the characters to be actually interactive in a way where you can basically tell your character to go and pick the lock on the door or go and dance with the orc, and you will actually see it happen. You will actually watch your character walk across the board and start dancing with the orc, right? Now that, as far as I'm concerned, given I'm on school, is a bit of a conundrum. Because I love the technology. I love the idea of that. I love the idea of being able to see my character actually go and have a little bit of a disco dance with an orc. But at the same time, there is that theater of the mind aspect that I worry is going to get lost. But you can't stop the technology. It is coming. And more than that, you're going to get other things as well. So the lasers in the room, they've already got it. It's just a matter of when the price point comes down to people starting to use it. The interactive tabletops, you're probably about 6 months away from actually being able to tell your character to go and do that action with that other NPC. Right? And then you've got other things. If your players are sitting there with their phones, how long before they're just wearing their augmented reality glasses? And you're all sitting at a table with augmented reality glasses looking at whatever you're role-playing. Because the technology is now, with things like Unreal Engine, real-time rendering. And I can actually type in a prompt into Unreal and get an immediate response as to what I want to see. So if I want to see, I don't know, if I want to see my room transformed into the deck of the Starship Enterprise, all I have to do is type that into the prompt, and it'll come up on my AR goggles. I can still see my friends sitting around the table, but suddenly we're sitting on the deck of the Enterprise. And if I want to see the staff, the crew of the Enterprise working around doing stuff, that can happen too. The technology for Unreal Engine now with MetaHuman, if any of you are familiar with MetaHuman, right? And the artificial intelligences that control those artificial humans is so good, so realistic, it just blows my mind. There is emotion there, and it is instantaneous now. So what we take for granted as sitting down at a table and playing our games is going to be transformed one way or another. And so how you use those technologies becomes important. Whether you use those technologies, whether you embrace those technologies. And that gets back to media determinism. And whether or not this art form grows, expands, or gets mutated into something else. I do not believe that this art form will be chewed up by procedural games. All right? I hope everybody understands what I mean by that. Procedural games will not replace this hobby, this art form, because the minute you start playing a procedural game, you're playing a computer game. You're not playing a role-play game anymore. However, the same technology can be applied to this hobby, to this art form. And very soon it'll be cheap enough and invasive enough that it'll be everywhere. I hope I haven't terrified anyone. A little bit. I guess what I hope is that these new technologies can be used in such a way that actually allow us to engage not only more people, but engage with our stories and our dreams in ways that my 16-year-old self could not have imagined, but could have dreamed about. And I think that's becoming really possible, and that's really exciting. It gives me goosebumps. So I think it's important not to shut out the new technology, all right? It is coming. You can't run away from it. And artificial intelligence isn't the big bad boogeyman that everybody keeps saying it is. It's not, and it's already everywhere. You're using it. It's on your phone. You just don't realize it. Every time you use a Google product, every time you use a Microsoft product, there is an artificial intelligence working behind the scenes. And when you think about it, some of those roles that you have to take as a dungeon master, as a GM, imagine your players walking into a bar and they can see the bar. You can have your lasers project that bar onto your room. And one of your players sitting at the table says, well, I'm going to go over there and talk to that NPC. Now, they don't have to move out of their chair, but they can say that. And then all of a sudden, that NPC can be having a conversation via the artificial intelligence with the player character, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to come up with, witty one-liners and all the rest. The artificial intelligence can do that for you. But at the same time, if there is an NPC that you care deeply about and you need to make sure that they have a particular narrative that they need to push, you can do that too. And I think the possibilities of that are amazing. They really are. This hobby, this art form, crosses so many different boundaries that it has the potential not only to survive, but to rise above all those other ones. I have people beside me teaching screen and media, the same they've been teaching it for the last 100 years. And I can tell you, they're terrified because they don't know where their art form is going to go. It's reaching the end of the line. It's reaching that cycle of media determinism. It's already been invaded by the technology. So it either has to mutate to survive, at which point it's no longer what it was. It is a new form, or it dies. But this art form has the potential to rise above all those others because it covers all those others.
Now, my name's Craig, though I publish under the pseudonym of MT Black. I'm very happy to answer to either Craig or MT. I enjoy my little industry nickname, so please don't feel shy about whichever you want to use. I'm part of the ARPIA organising committee. I'm also one of the judges of ARPIA, and it is a great delight to be presenting these awards this evening to some of the best games that have been produced in the Australian role-playing community. And I just wanted to acknowledge what a fantastic talk that was by Tim. Our industry sometimes is a little conservative, let's say. When the digital revolution hit 20 years ago, it was very, very, very painful for those of you who may have been there. Just moving to PDFs was traumatic, okay? So it is great to be encouraged to start to think ahead and maybe get a little bit ahead of the game as the world changes around us. One of the reasons I love ARPIA, and John spoke about a few excellent things that ARPIA does, but I also love that it's starting to capture the history of the role-playing game industry in Australia, because I don't think that's been well caught before. And, you know, event by event, we're starting to build up a picture, a history, a story of how role-playing games are being produced here, what we're interested in, what we're playing. And I think over a period of 10 or 20 years, this is going to be invaluable for media, for historians to interact with. So it's really exciting. And by coming to these events, you're helping us to propagate and to build that history up. And I just want to thank you again for all coming this evening. It's great. So for each category, I'm going to mention two honourable mentions, so a couple of products that the judges really liked, and then I'll give you a third product, which is the winner of that category. We'll hold our applause to after the winner of the category, and we'll invite the winner to come forward and get your certificate and medal, and say a couple of words as well, if you wish. That's completely optional. Our first category is Best TT RPG Stream. So thinking about new technology, this is a segment of the industry that didn't exist 10 years ago, really, and it's incredibly important now to RPG producers all over the world. It's been growing in Australia over the last few years, especially. We're seeing more and more streams coming online, and there's some really excellent work happening as well. There's some very impressive streaming coming out of Australia, very entertaining. So our honourable mentions this evening are Streams of Chaos by David Naylor and Chaosium, and Last Voyage of the Bean Barge by Nobody Wake the Bugbear. And our winner, the winner of Best TT RPG Stream 2023 is Red Centre by Night by Rena Limasico and the cast and crew of Red Centre by Night. Is Rena here this morning? Or everyone can come up, the whole cast if you're here. You're all very welcome. Come on. Well done. Thank you. Fantastic stream. There you go. There's medal.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Would you like to say a couple of words? Would someone like to say some things? Completely optional. Just a couple.
I won't say anything.
I'll break the technology.
Yeah. So this has been Rena's passion project that she's infected the rest of us with. For those who aren't aware, Red Centre by Night is a Vampire the Masquerade game, which has just started to go from strength to strength again with the revolution of TTRPGs once more. And it's set in Australia, which makes it a bit unique. And it's set in Alice Springs, so the heart of Australia. You should all watch it because it's freaking awesome. As is evidenced by this. And we just want to thank everybody for their support, thank the judges, thank Rena for all her hard work, and all the cast and crew.
It's a terrific stream, and I hope you'll all check it out.
Yeah, make way for your surprise.
All right, our next category is Best Cartography. I know my own journey into certainly fantasy literature, cartography. Maps were always so important. You know, the 100 Acre Wood was the first map that I kind of fell in love with, and then there were the maps of Narnia, the maps of Middle-earth, and speaking to so many people, you know, cartography is a really important part of their journey. We've got honourable mentions tonight, and this category too, let me say, is really growing as well. Every year we're getting more and more, and some fabulous entries. Honourable mentions are Drain Threshold by Stuart Lloyd Holmes and Terra Signal by Mikhail Osmolowski and Jake Scott. However, the winner of Best Cartography 2023 is Highways and Byways by Neil Gibson, Drew Baker. Yeah. Your medal.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Did you want to say a couple of words?
Very quickly, yikes, this is very scary and unexpected and super cool. I I suppose I'd like to thank Drew, who's over in the UK. Unfortunately, the Australian government deemed him not worthy and kicked him out of the country a couple of months ago, so sorry for that. I'd like to say thanks to Mob and Chaosium for giving us the opportunity to use the Johnstown Compendium and Drive-Thru-RPG to indulge our nerdiest of hobbies and really spend a lot of spare time putting it together. So thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Well done. Great. And the Johnstown Compendium that Chaosium do, that book's part of, is fantastic. The quality of material that's being published there is really tremendous. Best artwork. Once again, every year the quality of the books is just is growing by leaps and bounds. They were so many beautiful books were submitted this year. It would make you weep. Really, it was a pleasure. It was such a pleasure to be going through them all. So we'd like to give honourable mentions to Fragged Empire by Wade Dyer and You Repugnant Hunters by D.W. Dagan, both really beautiful books. But the winner of Best Artwork for 2023 is Parsling's Nominal City Guide by Leo Chong. Hey.
Thank you.
Shall I say something else?
I'm surprised. I almost forgot to submit if it wasn't for John. Yeah, I didn't actually have anything planned or anything to say.
Fine.
Come visit us at the tabletop section. I'm also doing video games this year, so we'll see how things go.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's a beautiful book, so go and have a flick through of it at PAX. Our next category is Best Scenario. This is one that's near and dear to my heart because scenario design's how I really got going within the industry, and I think this may have been our biggest category this year. We had dozens and dozens and dozens of excellent scenarios. We had well over 100 entries this year. Okay, there's so much. Some of them were 300 pages long, so you can imagine what the judges. Boy, okay. But for Best Scenario, we've got honourable mentions, Terror Signal by Mikhail Bonkos-Milovsky and Jake Scott, and Alone Against the Static by Brian Holland. And the winner of Best Scenario 2023 is Hardwired Island, Tales from L5 by Paul Machovic. Woo!
I'm accepting for Paul, and that is mainly to tell you that whilst Paul couldn't adjust his flight within reasonable cost parameters to be here tonight, he can be at the Boat Builders Yard Hotel at the back of PAX Oz on Sunday night at 5 o'clock. So we're going to have like another mini presentation with Paul there for his award. But I can, yay, Paul. And I probably should hang on to this so I can give it to him, but I want a medal as well. Oh no, I can't have a medal. I didn't bring one for him. It's for Sunday. Yes. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, now we're on to Best Rule System. Now this one is always tricky for the judges, but it's fun as well. And one of the things we're really looking for are rules that complement well the scenario, the theme, the genre of the book, rather than something that's kind of living off in its own little world. And once more, we got some great entries this year. For Best Rule System, we've got honourable mentions for You Repugnant Hunters by D.W. Dagan and Decaying Orbit by Sydney Icarus. And the winner of Best Rule System 2023 is Fox Curio's Floating Bookshop by Ella Lim. Where are you, Ella? Are you here, Ella? We thought you were. Flight must have got delayed.
Yeah, Ella was going to be here, so I wasn't anticipating to collect this one as well. But I love you all so much, and I'm overwhelmed. Thank you for voting for me.
That's another terrific book, well worth looking at. Okay, on to Best PDF. I mentioned before about the digital revolution that our industry underwent 20 years ago, and how that was sometimes a little tricky and difficult. But we've come a long way, and the PDF is no longer the poor cousin of the printed book. It's really seen as a respected art form, and it's fair to say that many of the most interesting, most original, most innovative games start life as PDF-only products. So it is always a fantastic category to judge. This year we've got honourable mentions for Creatures Such as We by Brian Holland and Alan Carey, and Fire and Stone by Into the Weird Blue Yonder. And the winner of Best PDF Only for 2023 is Terra Signal by Mikhail Bonkom-Osmolowski and Jake Scott. Let's give him a hand. This is the only physical book we've got tonight is the Best PDF Award.
So I was going to explain that. I actually wrote to them, said, "Oh, can I have a copy?" Because they weren't going to be able to be here. And then I wrote about 10 seconds later and said, "I've realised I've just asked for a copy of the Best PDF Only." And they said, no, that's fine. We'll go down to office work. So they did, and they knocked it out. But the other thing I wanted to say is we were up in Sydney Thursday of last week at the Powerhouse, and we were running a bunch of indie games as part of the Powerhouse Late Gaming, which was an outstanding event. They do an amazing job. And we're going to, we can't run the pictures of the winners yet because it gives it all away. But when we can, we've got a photo of the mini presentation. Have I? Or I was speaking too loudly. We ran a mini presentation up at the Powerhouse, and we took some photos of that. And so both Mikhail and Jake were there to receive, in sort of, their early version of the awards. And again, I love you so much, and it's bringing. I'm overwhelmed.
Thank you. Cheers. All right. We've got something a little bit different this year, a new category. It's called the Outstanding Achievement Award. And the purpose of this is to recognise a really significant achievement that doesn't easily fit under any of the other categories. So this could be for recognising a full body of work that's been developed over a number of years. It could be recognising an event, a significant event that someone put on, the formation of a society. I'm just making things up. A piece of fantastic journalism that's industry related, all those sort of things. Now, the winner of the award this year is someone who's been full-time in the industry for about 10 years. During that time, on their own, they have written and published over 12 thick, chunky hardcover books related to their multi-genre RPG work. They're a mainstay at many of our conferences, conventions, and they've also raised well north of $500,000 on Kickstarter. Friends, I'm very pleased to say the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award for 2023 is Wade Dyer for the Fragged Empire RPG. There you go, Wade. Good. Can you say a few words?
Yeah, I'm actually here to receive the award. I feel like we were having a bit of a running there for a bit. Thank you very much. This is a lovely award to get. I just want to say one thing. I noticed a little banner about how we've got mentorship programming coming up, and we've talked tonight a bit about passing on the knowledge. I really am an open book. If anybody wants to ask questions about how the hell I do whatever I do, or just wants to chat, just send me a message on social media and I get back to you. I reply to absolutely everyone, and I always have. Thank you.
Make sure you do that, and Yeah, Wade's done very well with Kickstarter, so you're probably going to get dozens of messages now. But share the knowledge within Australia, I say. All right. Well, this is the big one. They're all big, but this is the climax. The ARPIA Game of the Year Award. Now you might wonder what are the criteria. Well, okay. Well, I was going to say a couple of words about it, but you might wonder what the criteria for Game of the Year are, and we don't have formal criteria, but there are some things I've noticed about the Game of the Year in the judging. Firstly, we tend to like games or books that are complete games within themselves rather than, for example, the supplement for another game, something you can pick up and play. Secondly, we tend to like things that are a little bit of a fresh take. So either a genre that hasn't been explored or a really interesting angle on a genre that has been done a little bit more often. But you know, entering the dungeon and beating up the orcs, it's probably been done, you know. So, and third, just superb execution in every department. Great writing, tight rules, art that works with whatever the book is trying to do. Really good layout, just good title. Every element just executed well. Our honourable mentions tonight for this award, Fire and Stone by Into the Weird Blue Yonder, which is a fantastic old school game built on the Knave engine. I actually showed that to Ben. I showed the game to Ben Milton, who wrote Knave, and he was very impressed as well. It's set in the Stone Age, a wonderful game. And the other honourable mention is To Hard City by Benji Corliss. That's kind of like a trad noir game. And if you're going to do a noir game, you really need to nail the aesthetic, and and Hard City really does that. It's a beautiful book, and it's really pleasing to see a book like that come out of Australia. And the winner of the ARPIA Game of the Year for 2023 is Decaying Orbit by Sydney Icarus. Well done, Sid. Fantastic work. Well, I'll let you say.
Thank you. Woof. Okay. Decaying Orbit is a game about fragmented storytelling. It's a game about an artificial intelligence whose mind is scattered and broken and corrupted. And it's interesting to me that it's also kind of a product of the Australian role-playing community, like small ARC. It's also very much a product of capital ARC. It was written on index cards the night before ArcanaCon 2019. At ArcanaCon, we played it 4 times. It's then been played at Conquest, at PAX. It's been played at Kiri's Kitchen Table. We play tested. It's been played online with people. It was my mum's first role-playing game. She took great pleasure in blowing a ship apart. Anyone who's spoken to me about games for more than 10 minutes has heard me talk about the French thing, like quoting Salem and Zimmerman, which is in French, game and play come from the same root word. They don't separate it as far as we do. And I think that's what this is kind of about for me. Like, it's really, oh God, it's really kind to say that Decaying Orbit is a game of the year. But it's not. It's play. I've played the game 78 times with hundreds of people, a lot of whom are in this room, including the lovely publishers who played it on the first time at ArcanaCon 2019, Haley and V. And it wouldn't be anything without the tables that it was played at, the people who gave life to those space stations, and the memories that we take away from it. Thank you all for your part in this.
Mate, so well deserved. All right, we've got that, and we've also got the. You might want to open that up and just show them what's inside that. Open the box. Oh. Yeah. Woo. Well done. Thank you so much. And a medal. And I think you get some medal. Does he get a medal? Or two?
No way.
Okay, all right, sorry. No medal. ARPIA's on a budget, you know, Sid. Okay, and those are all the awards. So congratulations to all of the winners and all of the honourable mentions. Some fabulous games. I hope you'll all go and check those games out because they are well worth playing. One final person to thank, as you would imagine. I just want to acknowledge John for everything he does. He does so much for our community. Let's give him a chat. He really works so hard. We all know he does, and he's done so much here. Okay, thank you. And I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Can we have the scroll of the... now, this may take a sec because I think it's set for 10 seconds. Like I was talking about the purple patch of TTRPG at the moment. I think it's worldwide. But I think within that, the Southeast Asian region is really punching above its weight. I think, and I'm sort of interested as to why. Why is so much of what's being produced really high quality, and why is just seemingly none of it is really bad? It must be out there somewhere, but I haven't found it, and it's a production quality that seems to be feeding on itself. That people are just setting the bar so high and showing other people how good it can be and sharing that knowledge. As a community, it is tremendously embracing and sharing and supportive, and I feel that is just lifting really everybody and the quality of the work. And then to be in the same region as Malaysia and in the Philippines, where again, really high quality, exciting work is being done, that is adding to. So within the Australian scene, we have a lot of diverse voices, and those voices are producing very distinct games that are coming out of people's lived experiences. And that has not always been the case in games in general and in TTRPG in particular, to say the very least. It really was, to a large degree, not always, but a large degree, a monoculture, and that has just exploded apart now. And the voice and the cultural influence of the games coming out of Malaysia and the Philippines are also just incredibly exciting. And I would really sort of exploring how we can encompass our area beyond the immediate Australian experience. Have we done the full spiel? Yeah. We have. Alrighty. So it's now just the finger food and drinks, and please socialise and introduce yourselves and find out who those other people are and what they do and learn what they know, a little bit anyway. And then before we break down to Beer Deluxe, I just want to, we're just going to do a little scouting exercise just to make sure that the Collingwood fan club or whatever hasn't gone down there. Now they said it's like 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. You should be fine, but they can't promise. So I'll just make sure that it's still a good place to visit. So lovely to see you all. It's really exciting to be able to be a part of putting this on again, and just to have this opportunity of celebrating what people are doing, the extraordinary amount of work and effort that they are putting into it, and to feel really excited about what's going to come next. Congratulations to the winners as well. Good job.